First item on the agenda is the minutes for the last meeting. Next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report for August 6th and September 2006. August and September 2006.
We did send out the variances for July, subsequent to the board meeting last month, so we're included in the package, and we have them in here for you this time. Okay. It just helps. Of course it does, yes. Helps us too, then we have to re-remember it every time we forget. What was that again? There it is.
Do we have any questions on either month, either August or September? Treasurer's report. If there are questions, can I have a motion to accept both the August and September treasurer's reports? Made by McGloin, second by Pete. All in favor? Aye. Carried. Next item is the final resolution for the Jefferson Terrace project. Is someone going to speak on that?
Good morning.
John.
Jefferson Terrace is a bond transaction. We've done the inducement at the public hearing in September. We usually wait, as I think the board members are aware, until we're close to the closing. They are now moving towards the closing in a matter of weeks. The board, if you have any questions or concerns, we can address those now. This would authorize the issue signs.
It is a pass-through, yes. That's just the way this particular client does it. So we handle the money and send it back out.
Can you explain the community relations? 9160.
The community relations things are basically events that IDA people, that we would go to or participate in or advertise in. Can you think of some of the examples of what we're doing?
Association,
Yeah.
have the following spring event.
Business organizations where we want to be in touch with the business community and that kind of thing, be connected with what's going on, be able to carry the message, so to speak.
Thank you. Nice job.
Any other questions on the budget? We have like a motion to approve the 2007 budget. Made by Pete, second. Made by McGloin. Cecile. All in favor? Aye. Carried. I know we do have some issues, legal updates from our attorney.
Yes, if I may, Mayor, members of the board, as I told you before, as part of the Continuing Public Authorities Accountability Act, we'll be making suggestions for changes in regulations and bylaws and procedures. I have in your packet the most recent suggested updated changes. They deal with all three of the areas you want. I can go through them with you. The bylaws are the most important because they are what really govern the IDA. What we're doing right now is we're formalizing, as interpretations come down, what the Public Authorities Accountability Act means. For example, we've always had our treasurer, who's one of the board members. We're requiring now by the PAAA to have a separation. So we have our chief fiscal officer, Lavina, and what we're doing also is we're eliminating effectively the status of executive director. Ellen is now the chief executive officer, also the president. So if you'd like, I can go just highlight the bylaws. Again, the bylaws have been, we've highlighted the changes in there, just indicating the fact that first of all, that the officers of the entity, our CEO, our president, our fiscal officer, are separate from the board. That's one of the separations issues that the PAAA requires. We define the role of the president in Section 4. We never had a really clear definition of what an executive director was. We've now outlined what the duties of the president are specifically. Indicated also that there are other duties that the board obviously can direct him to do. I'm just going through the highlighted areas. The vice chair, again, was a board member. The functions of officers must be by officers, not as board members. That separation is important. I think those are the major changes. You know, before, back I think in midsummer, we talked about establishing a governance committee and also an audit committee. That again now is put in our rules and regulations expressly, and it's a mandatory. We have both of those committees. And that in essence is the changes with regard to the bylaws. Moving to personnel policies and procedures. Let me highlight some monetary issues. I know the board is always concerned about that. In Section 4, with regard to benefits, what we're proposing is that for employees that do not take the medical and dental program, that they be allowed to recapture half of the cost of that. There's some people, for example, that we only have 3 employees here, but some employees have a spouse or someone else who's having dental or medical. Rather than us paying the full freight, we're encouraging people to give us a savings, and that savings would be 50% normally.
So it's like a cafeteria.
Correct.
So you are allowed to have discretionary stuff.
Either take it or not take it, basically. It's a one-order menu, so to speak.
I would just like to point out that when the state controller ordered the city, they suggested that the city increase the amount of money that it pays to employees.
To encourage people to opt out. Because it's really a waste of money otherwise, especially if 2 people are in the same system. Okay.
Right. Nothing outrageous about drivers or limos, I'll tell you that right now, so just to make that part of the record.
Yes, how does that work if it goes the other way? If somebody is off and someone wants to be on?
Well, obviously, they would not be able to get any type of 50% of the cost of that. They would just be able to entitle to get the cost of it fully. There would be no payment or no cash contribution to them at all.
Okay.
So I mean, the net situation is that there's no additional expense that the IDA has. If you come off the medical, there'll be a savings of 50%. If you go back on, it's already been budgeted for as far as that's concerned.
Okay.
Insofar as the other personnel, the other personnel policies and procedures, most of it's mechanical, just identifying the president, no longer the executive director, and everything we have here has been highlighted for your attention. The last major change in the documents is our guidelines and procedures, and again, this has been highlighted for you. Primarily what we've done here is that you adopted a series of resolutions back in midsummer to get all the requirements the PAAA has adopted.